Junie B. Jones is not a crook. Written by Barbara Park. Chapter 3. Being Brownie. Mrs. said I could have my mittens back at recess. I stared and stared at the clock. Then I tapped my fingers on my table, and I did loud breaths. Lucille tattletaled on me. Junie B keeps tapping her fingers and making loud breaths, and I can't even concentrate on my work, she grouched. Mrs. came to my table. Hello, how are you today? I said, kind of nervous. I am fine, except I don't actually have my mittens. She tapped her foot real fast. That was not a good sign, I think. Only guess what? Just then the bell rang for recess. Oh boy, I yelled. Oh boy, 'cause now I can have my mittens back. Right, Mrs.? Right? I zoomed to her desk and put them on my hands. Then I rubbed those softy things all over my cheeks. It's good to be with you again, I whispered into their fur. After that, I put on my attractive winter jacket, and I skipped outside with my friends. Me and Tattletale Lucille and that Grace play horses together at recess. I am Brownie, Lucille is Blackie, and that Grace is Yellowy. I'm Yellowy, shouted that Grace. I'm Blackie, shouted Lucille. I'm Brownie, I shouted. Only just then, I looked at my mittens. I did a frown, 'cause there was a little bit of a problem here, I think. Yeah, only how can I even be Brownie? 'Cause my horse paws are black, and so I am two different colors, apparently. Lucille and that Grace did frowns, too. Said that Grace. Said Lucille. I said. Just then, that Grace clapped her hands together, very excited. I know, Junie B. Today you and Lucille can trade. Today Lucille can be Brownie, and you can be Blackie, and so that way your horse paws will be the right color. Me and Lucille looked and looked at that girl. 'Cause what kind of crazy idea was that? I did a huffy breath. Yeah, only how can I even be Blackie when I am already Brownie, Grace? I said. I have been Brownie for my whole entire career. You can't just go changing, you know. Yeah, Grace, you can't just go changing, said Lucille. That Grace looked embarrassed at herself. Oh, yeah. What was I thinking? She said, very mumbling. After that, all of us sat down in the grass, and we tapped on our chins. We thinked and thinked and thinked. Then, all of a sudden, my whole face lighted up. Hey, I thought of it. I know exactly what to do, I shouted. I jumped up. Start again, Grace. Say your name again. Say that you are Yellowy. That Grace looked curious at me. I'm Yellowy, she said. I pointed to Lucille. I'm Blackie, she said next. I spinned around real joyful. I'm Brownie, I shouted. Only guess what? Yesterday, my grandpa Brownie bought me black furry mittens, and so that is how come I am two different colors, apparently. After that, all of us did high fives, and we started playing horses. We galloped, and trotted and snorted and snuffled. Only too bad for me, 'cause the sun kept on beating down on my horse head, and I got drippity inside my attractive winter jacket. I am going to die from heat perspiration, I said. That's how come I trotted over to a tree, and I took off all of my stuff. First, I took off my attractive winter jacket. Then I took off my black furry mittens, and I piled them in a careful pile. After that, I galloped away to find my horse friends, and we played and played. Pretty soon, Mrs. blew her loud whistle. That means the end of recess. "Coming!" shouted Yellowy. "Coming!" shouted Blackie. "Coming!" I shouted. Then I hurried up back to the tree to get my stuff. Only guess what? I saw something very terrible there. That's what. And it's called, "Hey, somebody stole my mittens." Chapter 4. No Teddy Backpack. I runned all around the tree. 911, 911, 911, I hollered. Somebody stole them. Somebody stole my mittens. Mrs. came very quick. They stole them. They stole my mittens. 911, I shouted some more. Mrs. bended down next to me. "Who, Junie B? Who stole them?" she asked. "A stealer, that's who. A stealer stole them. And so what kind of school is this? 'Cause I didn't even know there was crooks at this place." Mrs. said, "Calm down my voice." Yeah, only I can't even calm it down that good, 'cause I am heartsick, that's why. Heartsick is the grown-up word for when your heart is sick. I looked at the ground real sad. Now all I have left is my dumb, attractive jacket. Mrs. picked it up. Then she holded my hand, and me and her started to walk. "You and I are going to the office," she told me. I quick tried to get my hand away from her. "No, Mrs., I'm not allowed to go there. Mother said if I get sent to the office one more time, I will get grounded, young lady." Tears came in my eyes. "Grounded, young lady, is when I have to stay on my own ground," I said. "Plus also I can go on the rug." Mrs. smiled. "I'm not taking you to the principal's office to punish you, Junie B," she said. "I'm taking you to find your mittens." I did a gasp. "Principal?" I asked, very shocked. "Principal stole my mittens?" Mrs. laughed real loud. "No, Junie B, he didn't steal your mittens. The office is where the lost and found is located." After that, she took my hand again, and we hurried up to the office. There is a grouchy typing lady at that place. I am not fond of her. "Junie B needs to look through the lost and found," Mrs. told her. "Please send her back to class when she's finished." Then Mrs. went back to room 9 and left me there all by myself. The typing lady looked over the counter at me. I did a gulp. "Yeah, only I'm not even bad today," I explained, very nervous. "Somebody stole my mittens, and that is the end of my tale." The typing lady kept on looking at me. She didn't say any words. Sweat came on my head. Whew, it's warmish in here, isn't it? I said. Just then I heard a door open. It was Principal. He was coming out of his office. I jumped up and down at his sight, 'cause I know that guy very good. Principal, look, it's me. It's Junie B. Jones. My mittens got stole on the playground, and so Mrs. brought me here to get them. So just hand them over and I will be on my way. No questions asked. Principal looked funny at me. Then he went to the closet and pulled out a big box. This is the lost and found, Junie B, he explained. Any time that someone finds something that's been lost, they bring it here, and we put it in this box. How come? I asked. How come they bring it here instead of taking it home? 'Cause one time I found a nickel in the street, and Daddy said I could put it in my bank, 'cause finding isn't the same thing as stealing. Right, Principal? Finding is a lucky duck. Principal laughed a little bit. Well, finding a nickel in the street is different, Junie B, he said. For one thing, it would be almost impossible to discover who the owner of the nickel really was. And for another thing, losing a nickel isn't really a big deal. But when someone loses something personal, like mittens, for instance, well, that's a very big deal. And so if someone else finds the mittens, they can bring them to the lost and found, and the owner can get them back. He smiled. And that makes everyone happy, Junie B, he said. The owner is happy because she has her mittens back, and the person who found them is happy because she's done a good deed. He pointed to a piece of paper taped on the box. See this? This is a poem the third grade wrote about the lost and found. It says, if you find stuff, bring it in. All day long, you'll wear a grin. I did a frown. Yeah, only here's the problem. I didn't lose my mittens. They got stole on purpose, and so no one will bring them in and wear a grin, probably. Principal raised up his eyebrows. Well, you never know, Junie B. Why don't you look in there and see? He opened up the box for me. That's when my eyes got big and wide, 'cause it was filled with the wonderfulest items I ever saw. There were sweaters and sweatshirts and baseball caps and gloves and balls and a lunchbox and a scarf and sunglasses and a watch with Mickey Mouse on it. Also, there was a backpack that looked like a teddy bear. Ooh, I always wanted one of these, I hollered, real thrilled. I put it on my back and skipped around the office. How does it look back there? I asked. Principal ran after me. He took the teddy off my back and put it back in the box. We're looking for your mittens, remember? Just then I felt upset again, 'cause I almost forgot about those furry guys, that's why. Oh yeah, my mittens, I said real glum. I looked through the box some more. They're not here, I said. My mittens are gone forever and ever, I think. I did a sad sigh. Then I picked up the teddy backpack again. Maybe I will take this instead, I said, 'cause this teddy backpack will ease my pain, I believe. Principal said no. How come? I asked. 'Cause the owner doesn't even want it anymore, I bet. Her mother already bought her a new teddy backpack, probably, and so this one is just going to go to waste. Principal stood me up and turned me to the door. That meant I am leaving, I think. Come back tomorrow and look for your mittens again, he said. I talked real fast. Yeah, only I just remembered something. I used to have a teddy backpack just like that one, maybe. Only then I lost it, probably. And so I better take that one home with me, or else my mother might be mad. Principal walked me to the door. He faced me down the hall. Goodbye, Junie B, he said. I hanged my head real disappointed. 'Cause guess why? Goodbye means no teddy backpack.